more sustainable outcomes through partnerships. And the whole purpose of the Derwent Catchment Partnership is about getting more outcomes, social, economic and environmental, by working together locally. So the government has promoted a catchment-based approach. It's a national initiative. DEFRA provides some small amount of funding to partnerships right across England. And that's what it sets out to do. And it's a way of helping deliver locally and contribute nationally to the government's 25-year environment plan. But there is a choice. And each catchment across England has decided how to best deliver a catchment-based approach to help the government towards its 25-year plan. And so the local choice in the Derwent was about having a partnership approach. That's the River Derwent catchment. In blue is the national park. In green is the area of outstanding natural beauty. And overall it's about 2,000 square kilometres catchment. From top to bottom it's over 100 kilometres, to give you some idea of the scale of the catchment. As Ian just said, the Derwent itself rises up here, Fylingdales Moor, comes all the way down to opposite Drax Power Station, for those that know where that is on the River Ouse. This lower bit used to be tidal till the 1970s, when a barrage was built to stop tidal water coming back up the lower part of the Derwent, which meant that more water could be abstracted. Some 20% of Yorkshire's drinking water comes from the River Derwent. You've got very different landscapes, moorland up at the top, you've got the Vale of Pickering, and then down through into the Vale of York, coming through the gorge here. There's a Ramsar site within the catchment. I think there are two SPAs, special areas, special protection areas, 6 special areas of conservation, and 12 triple SIs, including the river itself. From here to just here is a triple SI. And as well as giving you an idea of the scale of the catchment and an idea of where it fits within the national park, one of the key issues is that whatever happens up here has an impact through here and down here. And so I suppose a message is around being good neighbours, and that by working in partnership, and the National Park is one of our partners, and doing good stuff up here, it not only benefits up here, but it also benefits down here as well. So just hold that thought in terms of working in partnerships, being good neighbours, that what you do up here can have a beneficial effect or a detrimental effect, depending on what you do, down here. Those are our partners, and everyone contributes. We've got a governance structure in place, but we are a partnership. We're not a company, we're not a public body, we're not a charity. We're where groups of organisations have come together. We pool expertise, knowledge, resources, commitment. We provide through the board, the high-level steering group, the leadership and setting the strategy, and then we have a delivery group, and the board itself is made up of senior people from these organisations, and then we have a delivery group who are the people who actually make sure that things happen on the ground and we get things done. A lot of organisations provide benefit in kind. North Yorkshire County Council acts as our banker, so we as a partnership don't have to worry about proving and auditing and all that sort of stuff and looking after public money well. North Yorkshire County Council can provide the banking service to us. Yorkshire Wildlife Trust provide the means by which we can employ staff, and the means by which we can employ contractors and the administration of it. And again, a lot of that support is benefit in kind. Because people recognise and understand that by putting a small amount in, they're getting a lot more out. Like every organisation, that is our vision. So, going back to the last speaker, that's our vision for the river as a whole. And the vision includes economic, social and environmental outcomes. Those are our aims, and behind each of these aims we have some targets, and we report annually through our annual report on the progress that we've made against all of those. But this partnership way of working means that we've got all those organisations engaged and enthused to deliver these aims. We get small amount of core funding in green, which basically keeps the thing ticking over and enables us to then finance project bids to get project funding. And you can see over time the partnership was formed in 1617, so a relatively new partnership, but how we have generated over the last 5 years additional funding. So every pound that's come into us from our partners, we have generated over £6 in project funding, which has gone back into improving the catchment and delivering those sustainable outcomes. So if you're putting £1 in to us, we're saying we can deliver at least £6 more benefit for you. You may not get the benefit when you wanted it. You might have to wait a year or two to get it, and you might get other things with it. So if you're Yorkshire Water, who's one of our partnerships, and want a water outcome, you might get a social outcome and an economic outcome locally, as well as the water environment outcome that you were wanting as well. So a really good lever in terms of improving the catchment as a whole, from a small amount of money put in to a large amount delivered. And those are our outcomes. This is what we've achieved last year, and this is in a COVID year. So I think it's a remarkable testament to the staff and the organisations and the volunteers who've been working on our behalf to have delivered all of this within a COVID constrained year. 36 volunteer hours is very low. We have a lot of people who are willing to give up their time and effort to help us, but obviously in a COVID year we're very restrained, except because we had to follow the COVID rules. But there's some of the outcomes that we have delivered in 1 year, and 72 landowners engaged with. There's a lot of interest in terms of what we do. Just some examples. This is in the upland areas, but restoring uplands, all part of natural flood management. This is the part of the Slow the Flow project above Pickering, which again was a national initiative to show how that by building these leaky dams we can stem the flow during periods of flood in and among the upland areas, which then had a beneficial effect in downstream areas that were vulnerable to flooding. But working with nature, key part of natural flood management. Looking to, again, another water-related one in terms of trying to prevent erosion. So you can see where the river's cutting back into the bank there. And then tree planting, again, as part of slowing the flow. We heard earlier about looking within the national park as to what species are missing. Well, this is looking at what shouldn't be there. And we've put a lot of effort into working with landowners in terms of trying to control and ultimately to eliminate invasive non-species. This is giant hogweed, where there's an annual programme of inspections, surveys and then spraying. And these are some of our staff, but also landowners are doing their own spraying as well, because the river's bringing the seeds down from the upper part of the catchment down to the lower part of the catchment. So again, it's back to being a good neighbour. And our vision includes, that we wouldn't have hogweed within the catchment. And there's all sorts of other species as well. So yes, look for those that are missing. And we do have some, there's a forestry trial in terms of beaver reintroduction within the North York Moors, but also in terms of what shouldn't be there and how can we reduce that and ultimately get rid of it. This is working with Yorkshire Wildlife Trust on habitat creation and restoration in the Vale of Pickering, where we're creating scrapes. So it's a very flat, drained area. And again, improving it for wildlife. Sediment is a big issue within the Derwent catchment, and we've developed and piloted a sediment database, and that's helping us to target interventions. And this is just some of the work that's going on, fencing to keep livestock away from the watercourse. So that, again, working with landowners, supporting them in trying to get local benefits which then have an impact across the catchment downstream. So again, it's back to being a good neighbour. And if you want more information, then that's there's various websites there. You can go on and look at our annual report and see some of the progress that we've been making within the catchment. So Ian said right at the start, and I mentioned it again just before I started speaking, about this vision, a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens who come together locally to make a difference. And I think that's what the Derwent catchment is, and it's a privilege working in this area, living in this area and contributing towards its well-being. Thank you.